Oh, yeah, my gavel. Guess we're in session. And Ted can lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right.
All right.
Let's look at some minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 12th, regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Use them.
Ooh, these are long ones.
Oh yeah, they were really long.
Think,
long.
And I'll
wasn't
make
that long a meeting even. Okay, it was 2.5 hours. I guess that's pretty long.
another motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from June 20th.
Second. Pizza.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right.
And finally, I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from June 29th.
I
wasn't here.
Oh, you can still second, right?
Oh, I can.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? These are typed up like a transcript.
Yeah.
We took these pretty seriously.
We
That's
should
what
have
we
just,
should.
I guess we should.
just turned transcription on the meeting, and then
No.
we would have had, Colleen would have had to do so much work.
Could apply these right to the YouTube video for anybody who
And just for the record, we had one abstention.
subtitles.
Yes, one abstention.
Gracias.
De nada. That's all I know.
All right. Announcements. The Select Board will meet on the following dates at 5 p.m. Monday, July 24th. And at that meeting, we'll have a public hearing around 5:15 p.m. For acceptance of $40,000 per RSA 31:95B. And then on Monday, August 14th, and again on August 28th. Any citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before noon the Thursday before the scheduled meeting. All meetings will be held upstairs in the Town Hall and will be held by Zoom. Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouth-nh.org. It's a simple set of announcements, but that takes us to the highlight of the evening.
Yes. Virginia is with us online.
Hello, Virginia. How are you?
Hey. Oh,
I don't know if we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Pam?
Nope.
Give me just a second, but ideally it would be good if they can hear us,
At the very least.
at a minimum.
Pam, can you hear us? I think so.
I think the audio problem's on their side.
Yeah.
Start here.
So, Scott, do you want to do this through interpretive dance?
Yes. Yes.
Do we want to give them a second to try to get their audio and then loop back?
Phone to call them or?
Don't
Yeah, phone would be good,
phone.
maybe.
do we have a number? Do you have a number?
They could type it in the chat.
Yeah, who is it? Dan who's in the back today?
Okay.
As I say, we could put my cell number in the chat if you'd like. Have them call in.
Oh, somebody else is joining the.
I suspect they didn't join audio when they.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I just don't have the chat handy to type it myself. Make sure I'm not on silent. 603 289 9221.
9221.
Yes. Oh, maybe that'll work. Joining through another method. Hello.
Oh, no, is that Giselle?
I'm not sure they hear us.
Yeah.
through
Can
this
you hear
one
us
either.
now?
Yeah, but they're on mute.
Still nothing from
Can
there.
you,
You'll have to unmute us. Unmute yourself.
Hey,
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
I told you this was going to be a challenge.
Oh, we got there. I'm excited. Well, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you.
you want to read the proclamation that?
Yeah, I can read this one here. The Boston Post newspaper, under the direction of Edwin Atkins Grosier, owner, editor, and publisher, launched an advertising campaign to increase the circulation of his newspaper. On August 2nd, 1909, Mr. Grosier sent out 700 letters to chairmen of the boards of selectmen in Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, asking them to be trustees of the canes. Mr. Grosier stipulated that, at the holder's demise, the cane was to be returned to their respective town and transmitted to the next oldest citizen. Today, it's our honor to be presenting the Boston Post cane to our oldest living Plymouth resident, Virginia D. Dearborn. Virginia was born in North Woodstock and grew up on Pleasant Street in Plymouth. Born Virginia Lorraine Deachman on Christmas Day, 1924, she was the second child of William John Deachman and Harriet Annie Griffin. Her siblings included older brother William, younger sister Priscilla, and younger brother Ross. Virginia attended Plymouth schools and graduated from the Plymouth Teachers College. She later received her master's degree from Plymouth State, attending during the summer months. Virginia's chosen career was teaching, and she had a long, fulfilling life and enriched many students over that time. Virginia married Frank E. Dearborn, Jr. in June 1946, and they were married for 50 years until Frank passed away in 1996. Virginia and Frank welcomed 3 children: Vicki Lorraine, born in 1947, William Frank, born in 1950, and Pamela Jane, born in 1953. Virginia is known to enjoy her bird watching, doing puzzles, and has always been an avid reader. Her positive attitude and great sense of humor are still firmly intact. When Virginia was advised by her daughter Pamela that she would be the next recipient of the award, and that she was going to be recognized as the oldest resident in Plymouth, she replied, "What do they want to do? Off me?" After a laugh and our response that she would be given a cane, she replied, "Well, I could use a cane." Although this is a replica of the original Boston Post cane that we have at the town office, it's with great pleasure that we present this plaque and Boston Post cane to you, Virginia D. Dearborn, as the 6th Plymouth resident to receive this recognition.
You're the 6th Plymouth resident to receive this. Yeah.
So Pam, what I will do is I'll be in contact with you so I can deliver the
Sure.
cane to you and her plaque, and we'd like to bring her some flowers as well. So I will send you an email in the morning to get that arranged, and we'll hopefully get that done sometime this week.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for living in Plymouth.
Yes.
Yes, her brother Ross said, I better make sure that I go and catch this on video or whatever, because he said, no one else in our family is ever going to get it. The chances are good, Ross. So it all came down to her, and you did it. You lived the longest. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All
See ya.
right. I'll be in touch with you, Scott.
Okay.
Ross Deachman.
It's a lovely New Hampshire, New England
Yeah.
tradition.
Yeah.
I have no comments, but we, I'm sure, have a town manager's report.
Yes. So quite a bit going on over the last couple weeks, and we'll get into more of the details of what's been going on with the downtown drainage as I go through my report. But to start off, property reevaluation update. On June 14th, New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration conducted their reevaluation startup meeting with the town, including Steve Hamilton and Emily Goldstein of the Contract Assessors Whitney Group. Carol, Ann, and myself and from DRA, Phil Bodwell and Jason Bickford were present as supervisors of the project in the town's assigned monitor. Before any reevaluation, the DRA requires a meeting with the town to review the contract previously approved and signed by the town and the contractors. The purpose is for all to have an understanding of the work to be performed. The main items of note are the reevaluation is currently underway in the analysis stage. Inspection of sales property over the last 2 years is ongoing, and the anticipated timeframe of the value notices is expected to be sent out in late July. As the project progresses, Steve and Emily will keep the town updated on the upcoming steps. Additionally, Whitney Consultant is in the process of reviewing and visiting nonprofits and tax-exempt properties to verify the statuses. Next, DES reported alleged violation of wetlands. I was informed by Select Board member Neil McIver of an alleged wetlands violation on Mayhew Turnpike at tax map 214, lot 001. I viewed the site with Neil, and upon viewing, submitted a complaint to DES. DES has acknowledged I've spoken with them as a complaint pursuant to RSA 482-A. They will be investigating the site that's located on Mayhew Turnpike. Grafton County ARPA funds, as reported by Bill Bolton last meeting, the town was a recipient of the Grafton County ARPA funds in the amount of $40,000. Public hearing will be held on June 24th to accept these funds. Welfare report from June of 2023. Mary Ann was able to assist 16 individuals during the month of June. As always, Mary Ann always investigates and handles these cases, hoping for a positive outcome.
Scott, that ARPA fund grant should say July 24th, just as a note.
Oh,
Yes, you are correct. Thank you, Mary Ann.
could I ask whether, the 16 individuals, is that high or low? Is it
That is low in
Yeah, it's going
comparison to where
down.
we've been the last few months.
Yeah.
We've been up around 23, 24, and as high as 30.
Wow.
Department of Business Economic Affairs, Benoit Lamontagne, who is the Business Retention, Expansion, and Recruitment Leader. I was able to meet with Benoit and Stephen Kelly from Tenny Mountain Development on Tuesday, June 27th. It was a great meeting and allowed Tenny Mountain to present their development plans. The plan is to have follow-up meetings with the Commissioner of DES, with Benoit, and with Stephen Kelly, and the team will soon meet again. Benoit will also be bringing Andrew Dorset, Invest New Hampshire, to discuss workforce housing over the next couple months with Tenny Mountain. Select Board strategic priorities have been posted on the Select Board page on the town's website and sent out in the weekly newsletter. Heating, oil, and propane RFP. Ann has developed an RFP that will be sent out to vendors. Responses are due back by August 15th for the upcoming 23-24 winter for all town buildings. Tax information update. As of the close of business on July 6th, collection for the July tax bill is at 87%. This is on target, as the mail in the next few days will drift in and be closer to 90%, probably tomorrow morning. Lender has been able to collect a small portion of the delinquent taxes and has processed a few delinquent tax written agreements, which is good news for us. FEMA December 22 storm. This continues. We continue to meet. Ann, Joe, and myself continue to meet with FEMA representatives in regards to the December 2022 storm and damages submitted. We have a follow-up meeting on Wednesday, July 19th, to review the damages submitted and provide any additional information. This is much different than how this has been done in the past. In the past, New Hampshire Homeland Security Emergency Management typically would handle these claims for reimbursement. That is all shifted over to FEMA. So the young lady that we're meeting with actually is from Texas and is up here just doing the December 22 storm and covering all of Grafton County, Belknap County, and Coas County. So the meetings continue to linger until she gets all of her information. And then what will happen is that they'll send out a review team that will come out and review the areas that we had damage in. They're saying that we could see reimbursement within a year, or it could take up to 18 months. So It's
How
quite
much are we
a,
looking for? Is there,
what's,
well, how much are we looking for reimbursement?
about $225,000. It was significant
Oh, good, yeah.
damage for us, including Hunt Road and outlying areas as well. Pease Public Library on June 21st, I met with the Pease Public Library trustees for their monthly meeting. They had received 2 additional applications for librarian, which we interviewed on June 27th. The good news is a conditional offer of employment has been offered. The candidate will be back here tomorrow to meet with the staff and has conditionally accepted the position to start in August.
That's great news.
Are they local or,
What's
are
that?
they local?
Summersworth. Plymouth State University update, I met with Jessica Dutal on Monday the 19th. We discussed a number of topics to include PSU orientation starting on June 20th, cemetery mapping volunteer project, PSU opening and move-in dates. A meeting occurred on Wednesday the 28th to provide updates from PSU on student move-ins in the town on the current construction of Main Street, Warren Street, and Russell Street, and what impact this would have on the move-ins. We are still waiting on the team that will be assembled for the cluster project and economic development. In regards to the LSSA agreement, the Select Board met with President Don Burks with regards to the renegotiation of the LSSA. On Thursday, June 29th, the Select Board has reached an agreement for a 2-year period with the university. As part of this agreement is to conduct quarterly meetings and working towards strengthening our strategic partnership in creating a model agreement that is sustainable for the university and the town of Plymouth. Highland Street project, that's been ongoing for quite some time, but we were finally able to kick off the design phase. We completed the independent government estimate, IGE process, with the town and HEB, the engineering firm, both assigned manpower to each scope items before negotiating fees. We met with New Hampshire DOT on Tuesday, June 20th, to further discuss the project. As of Monday, June 26th, all the materials have been sent to Kevin Russell at New Hampshire DOT for review, and we have not heard back as of yet. My last part is downtown drainage project, and there is a lot going on with the downtown drainage project. So, this is a project that obviously, you know, I inherited, and I have been staying on top of and taking a considerable amount of time each and every day to make sure the project continues to move forward and we get the work completed in the time frame that has been allotted. With that being said, there is a number of change orders that have to go into effect, and those really apply to Russell Street. And you may ask, why so many change orders on Russell Street? Well, at the beginning, when this all started taking place and shaping up in 2021, the town of Plymouth provided a survey of Russell Street to HEB, the town's engineers, and Wright Pierce, Plymouth Village Water and Sewers engineers. This was a survey that was done in 2020 by an engineer and by a surveying company. So when those were given to HEB and Wright Pierce, they took them and started to design the water project and the drainage project. Well, come to find out, the survey was completely wrong, had the water and sewer lines in opposite places as what was proposed or put together in the survey, which means there's a conflict in a period of the road from Warren Street up to Gould Terrace. And based on that, there has to be changes by Plymouth Village Water and Sewer in order to move those water lines out of the conflicted area where our drainage lines are scheduled to be put in. Based on that, there's a number of costs that are associated with these changes. And there are basically 6 different changes that have to occur and revisions to be made. And those total about $316,000 added to the cost of the project. This project in the contract did not have any contingencies built in. And if there were any contingencies built in, the cost of the final bid took those contingencies over. So with regards to that, and that being said, and keeping the project moving forward, there's a couple things that need to be considered. And I've met with June on this, I've met with Josh McAllister from HEB. We've been working hand in hand with Plymouth Village Water and Sewer to try to resolve these conflicts that have been identified and that need to be addressed. So part of that is included in this project, which I'm not sure why it was included, was a lighting project. And it was to replace 8 lights around the common area. That's not even in the downtown drainage section of the work being done. But it was added as a want, not a have to have, because there's actually 28 lights in that area that if you're gonna replace 8, why aren't you replacing all of them? And we've never done a lighting survey of that area. The cost of the lights, the 8 lights to be put in, is about $205,000. So with that being said, I would recommend that if we replace the 8 lights now and we don't address the other lights, there's going to come a time when we might have to replace all of those lights once again. And really should be moved into a capital improvement project versus part of a downtown drainage project. So I would ask the board to approve moving forward with a request to EDA to modify the scope of our downtown drainage project to remove the lighting element from the project scope. Because, like I said, it's not even within the downtown drainage project that we're working on Main Street, Russell Street, Warren Street, and the detention pond.
These aren't lights that are on South Main Street, these are on the common?
Right.
Are they new or replacement?
They would be replacements. The lights we have there are working, but previous administration wanted new lights around the common and asked to have these included in the bid package when it went out.
Are there light replacements that are actually on South Main Street?
No,
Not replacing any of the lights on South Main Street?
no.
That's strange.
So this is just literally a hanger-on or a rider on the bill, so to speak.
And I would ask that when we're looking at the capital improvement project this year and program, that we look at possibly funding a lighting survey for the Main Street area, because that's never been done. So we really don't know what's needed and what's not needed. But we were gonna replace these 8 lamps within the downtown drainage grant that isn't even in part of the downtown drainage project. So I would ask that we remove that $205,000 and reach out to the EDA and modify the scope of our work, which I think we've spoken with the EDA today, and they are in agreement with that, although we do need to put in a change order to modify that. So if we did that, that brings down the over cost to $113,000. With that being said, we will receive reimbursements confirmed today with New Hampshire DOT for wear course pavement. That brings it down another $37,000 to a total of $76,000 over budget with the change orders that had to be put in place because of the bad survey of Russell Street. There may be savings as we move forward. We don't know yet.
That seems unlikely.
Yeah, exactly.
But this, like I said, this is something that I inherited and just learning part of these pieces to the puzzle. You know, the big thing is the bad survey of Russell Street, and in my opinion, we should be looking at the engineer that provided that survey to us through the survey company that was used and be talking with our town attorney with regards to errors and omissions. We paid $30,000 for that survey to be done. And it's useless.
There should have been insurance.
So my eyes, I'd like to reach out to Attorney Radigan and have that conversation about recouping the $30,000, but the cost that's been associated with the project based on that. You know, the other thing is with old roads you never know what you're gonna get into until you dig them up. Perfect example of that is up on North Main Street right now. They were moving along very quickly. They just ran into 12 feet of ledge that they've been chipping at for the last 7 days. They're making progress, but it's taken much longer than they suspected.
How do we do this without any contingencies?
Directly,
How do we not put money? It just
They have a
seems like a
ledge clause.
no-brainer.
They do, but it's running over. Marion, I wish I could answer that question to you, that when that contract was developed and reviewed, there should have been contingencies built in there.
Is that
But
the
based
town side or
on-
water and sewer side,
I-
or both?
I think what happened was we went out to bid 3 times on the project. And each time, there was only, I think the second and third time, there was only 1 bid. Those bids continued to climb in cost, and that ate up any contingency that would have been built into the contract.
when I was working with Hiltz, building Weeks Street, which is directly above where they're working, we ran into serious ledge.
I mean, that's Plymouth Village Water and Sewers project there, but who knows what we're gonna find
Yeah.
on Main Street when we start to go down through Main Street.
So these changes, are they also affecting water sewer? Or are they just affecting us?
They're affecting us and water and sewer.
Do you know what their overage expectation from this change
We
set
don't
is?
know yet because they're still negotiating with Grenice for the work to be done on Russell Street. The first thing that would have to be done, which we're hoping they'll have approval in 2 weeks, is a temporary water line put in from Warren up to Gould Terrace, which means then we can continue our project up over Russell Street, putting in the drainage and taking out the old water lines. And then after we get our drainage in, they would come in and do their water line in that conflicted area. But that's the conflicted area is from Warren to Gould Terrace. Beyond that, heading towards the library, we're all set. We can move through there, but we can't do anything until Plymouth Village Water and Sewer gets their approval through DES for the change, which they are in the process of getting, and hopefully we'll have within 2 weeks.
So everything stops there.
Everything stops there, but we've been able to negotiate with Grenice and work through so that we know they have 2.5 weeks left right now on Warren and a small portion of Russell in the detention pond. The hope is that we order the structures for Russell Street, and that by the time those structures come in, Plymouth Village Water and Sewer has gotten the approval from DES to install a temporary water line. In those 2.5 weeks, they'll finish the work on Warren, they'll finish the detention pond, and then jump back up to Russell Street and complete that part of the project and move on to Main Street. So hopefully our timing all lines up so it doesn't create any stop in work. Because in the contract with Grenice is that if they have to stop work, it's an $18,000 a day fine or payment that
Penalty,
we
yeah.
would make to them
Yeah.
based on them stopping work and not having work to do. And we're hoping, and I will say Grenice, Steve Grenice, Tom Grenice have been amazing of working through these difficulties and working with HEB to rectify and provide resolutions so that they don't have to stop, and they'll be able to move right back to Russell Street after the approval from DES comes in. Temporary water lines laid, we start up Russell Street with drainage. But what I'm asking you for tonight is to allow
Motion.
the lighting to be removed in a modified scope of our downtown drainage project be submitted to EDA, in that the downtown lighting be put into a capital improvement program for the future.
So I'll make a motion that we submit the change request to remove the lighting to EDA from the project. Hopefully I got enough in there.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I will keep you apprised of everything that goes on. The other thing that happened the other day, on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, I was advised that our resident engineer from HEB had been terminated, and that they'd be searching for a new resident engineer for the first of this week. I will say that they did find one over the weekend, one that's been with HEB for over 20 years, been in the construction industry, and I met with the new engineer this morning. Seems very knowledgeable, very friendly, and introductions were made to Steve St. Pierre from the Highway Department and Joe, and Steve and him sat for a period of time today and met, talking about the project and where it was. The engineer, the resident engineer that we have now, worked on the City of Berlin's water and sewer project. He worked on the town of Exeter's. He worked in the town of Littleton's and Brighton, Maine, I think it is. So he's very familiar with municipalities and the projects that take place within the scope and the limits of EDA and the requirements that are needed. So we worked on that over the weekend, and we have a new resident engineer on site as of this morning, and hopefully that will go smoothly as we move forward.
What's his name?
Kevin is his first name, and Neil, I wish I could tell
That's
you
good
his
enough,
last name.
isn't it?
I don't know, there's just been too much going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So what happens, so we removed the lighting project, we still have outstanding $100,000. What happens to the project, or where do we get that? I know you're
It
gonna
might
be
have to
talking
be
with
included.
Radigan.
I definitely will talk to John Radigan about what we have. I gathered all those documents today of the contractor and the survey company. So I have all of that information. It will go to court, most likely. And we may have to raise and appropriate money at town meeting this year to fulfill the commitment of finishing the project. Unless we can find savings
Right,
within the project as we move forward.
so the project doesn't stop while we figure out,
No.
okay.
No, we can't afford to just stop the project. That
No,
would
no,
be
no, I'm
even
just
worse.
trying to
But
understand.
we'll continue to move forward.
Well, that being said, though, with those bumps that we currently have, any talk about an extension? Or does everyone think that they can finish on time, over budget?
There- If we continue to move with the outlook they gave this morning at our construction meeting, they will finish the work that they said they would finish by the end of October. And then they would be back in the spring for final grading and planning and seeding and
Okay.
things like that.
Clean up.
As long as everything goes as it's outlined today, and Plymouth Village Water and Sewer gets their approval within a 2-week period.
Is there any conflict too, like with Don Jutton leaving, or is everything, locked in?
No, I will
and-
say, I meet weekly with Jason and Kim, and Jason has been right on top of it. And their redesign of Russell Street is costing them more than what they had outlined, but they're willing to reduce their scope of work to get through the conflicted area that we're having difficulties with. And I mean, there's a couple different ways it could be handled. It could be handled like we're doing it today, which is the least evasive route to take and course of action to take. The second part is we could redesign the Russell Street drainage, which would cost more money, more time. The project wouldn't be finished this year. And if both of those solutions, we could make Plymouth Village Water and Sewer by suffrage, remove their pipes, and we go through that drainage. But that's not something we want to go down that road. So we're taking the least evasive action and hopefully working in collaboration with Plymouth Village Water and Sewer to finish the project in a timely fashion.
Is the drainage project on Russell Street going to terminate at Pleasant Street? Or is it gonna go further?
It terminates at Pleasant Street, grabbing that drainage that comes down Pleasant. Yes.
That's a ledge area.
And they've done test pits at the end of Pleasant Street, all the way down Pleasant. They've done test pits at the end of Pleasant and Russell, then all the way down Russell, so they know what they're looking at for that period. And like I said, the conflict area is Gould Terrace to Warren Street, where the survey was absolutely incorrect that was provided.
Well, that's fun. Any other items here on the, you have some bulleted lists, anything that you wanted to say about these items?
Recycling center for sure.
Oh, no, I meant, the end of your report.
You know, that's pretty much, that's it, yeah.
Okay.
It's just, we met this morning and all of this came out of the meeting this morning, trying to come up with a resolution to take care of this as we move forward and not stop the project in its tracks.
The conditions they're working under are difficult.
You know, I can't say enough about Green Construction and the work they've done. On the water portion of the project, they actually are ahead of schedule. So on the main street in front of the common and up at the post office, temporary water will be put in place the week of July 24th, which that wasn't scheduled to the end of August. So on the water portion of the project, they're moving along quicker than what they anticipated. So they'll be able to get that temporary water line in while we still have the parking available over here. And then they'll work through the main street, putting the permanent in as they did from Highland Street down to Warren Street. But I will keep you updated on any further progress, but it is taking a number of hours each day, meeting with Tom Grenice in the morning, Steve Grenice in the afternoon, and working with Jason and Kim to make sure it's lock and step as we move forward and we get the project completed on time.
Going back to the LSSA, do we have have we scheduled a meeting for our first quarterly conversation about this?
We haven't. Tracy is back tomorrow,
Okay.
the 11th. So that was my plan tomorrow, is to reach out to Don and Tracy and get the first meeting scheduled.
Perfect. All right, any other questions for Scott about his report? Well, we have recycling center outstanding invoices discussion. We have an email here from Lydia.
Yes. So, in the research that I've been doing and trying to go through and look at different pieces of the puzzle that maybe we haven't done the best job in the past doing, right now, it shows that there's $6,710 of unpaid recycling invoices as far back as 2019. It is my understanding that since 2019, the town office staff has created invoices, sent the invoices, and just lack of payment. They've made phone calls, they've tried to reach out. It appears that many of these are PSU students that use a university address and have been allowed to charge in the past. It is my recommendation that we eliminate the option to charge, whereas we have a credit card machine there and they can give us a check. I would highly recommend against accepting cash at the recycling center, but we do have those two options. If a business in Plymouth needs to charge, we don't have any outstanding charges from any businesses in Plymouth. I would allow them to continue to charge, but from a personal perspective of individuals coming in and saying, I don't have any cash with me, I don't have a check with me, I don't have a credit card, then take your materials and leave and come back when you do. I know that sounds kind of blunt, but we're in the whole $6,710 that we're never gonna recover. Never mind the amount of staff time that it's taking
Those
since
students are
2019.
Gone.
What's that?
They're gone.
Yeah, most of them are, absolutely. So I would just like, with your permission, to stop allowing charging at the recycling center.
But we'd still allow debit cards?
Yes, absolutely. Debit, credit cards, or check.
And we have it posted at there that we do not accept cash, correct?
That is correct.
That's already true, right?
That is right.
I just want to make sure it's posted, because if it's
And
not
we'll
posted,
And we'll
you're
also,
in legal trouble.
and we'll also post that the charging is not allowed. And we'll get that on the website as well.
Yep, and not charging for non-businesses.
Correct.
And I'm assuming this 1905 charge is invalid.
What's that, Marion?
It's a charge dated 1905. I'm assuming that's probably not valid.
Probably not valid.
All right,
Right.
just checking.
It's gonna be a tricky one to recover.
Maybe 2005.
Maybe our Boston Cane.
I was gonna say, we asked Virginia if she could help us.
I didn't want to say it, but that's terrible.
that one.
Virginia wouldn't be able to help us there either. It's beyond her.
Beyond
It's
her
just-
capabilities.
You know, one more step in going through the financial management policies that we have and looking at the different pieces that we can take progressive steps in to reduce the loss that the town of Plymouth sees.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you need a motion on that?
I don't, I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, I
If you
think
want
you
to
have
make a motion,
consensus.
that's fine.
No, I think you have consensus.
Lights on the common. This is a concern of mine that I've talked to Robert from Parks about, and I know that at the beginning, the lights for Ukraine were allowed, and I have no issue with that. But the issue I have with that, those lights are now hanging low, and children are starting to grab on to those wires and climb those trees, which presents a huge risk for us in the park, in the common. When those lights were first strung, they were tight, there was no issues, but over time, they've sank and they're lower, and it creates quite a risk. I would like to be able to ask Steve Rand and Alex Ray to either rewire that, or the ultimate goal would be to have a professional company come in, if the board was still willing to allow those lights in the common, is have a professional company come in at their expense and rewire that with the lights for Ukraine. So I bring it here as a risk management issue, and the concerts in the common start this Wednesday. We know we have a lot of children that attend them, that climb the trees, climb the fence. I just would hate to see something happen during those times.
So they strung them themselves?
They did.
The wind,
Doesn't seem.
the wind.
And I mean, now they're really drooping and present a problem.
Hazard.
Yeah, it feels like having a conversation with the two of them. That sounds like a good
Okay.
first step. And if they're willing to do something there, like, let's
If not, I
do
think they have
something
to
or
be
remove them.
removed.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to bring it to your attention in case you receive any calls or comments. I wanted to make sure that I had a discussion with the board, and I will speak with both Alex and Steve tomorrow.
Seems reasonable to me.
Concerts start on Wednesday?
This Wednesday night, the Shannon Stock Band is in the Common for a concert, starting at 7 p.m. The Plymouth Police Department, I think, is providing refreshments this Wednesday night.
Let's hope it doesn't rain.
It's gonna be the only nice day of the week, this show. Right?
Seems like it rains every day.
Certainly every weekend.
Every day that I'm not at work. Anything else, Scott?
That's all I have.
All right, we have an appointment here to the Conservation Commission. An email that says from Giselle Estes, to whom it may concern, I asked to be appointed to the Plymouth Conservation Commission as an alternate member for a 3-year term expiring in 2026. I've served on the PCC since 1986 and have been able to help protect some of Plymouth's most beautiful areas through conservation easements. Among them are Plymouth Mountain, the Fauver East Parcel, and the Walter Newton Natural Area. I would like to keep serving Plymouth. Sincerely, Giselle.
I have the appointment here.
I'll
Zach?
make a motion.
I'll move. I move that we appoint Gigi to the Conservation Commission as an alternate member.
Okay.
No offense
Need
there,
a
but,
second?
yeah, we need a second.
Okay.
Are you seconding?
Yeah.
Is that an official?
That's an
Yeah,
official
that's an
second.
open-
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
She serves very well on the Conservation Commission. I wouldn't want to
Very
deny her.
She's
sincere.
an amazing
Are you suggesting that I would deny her?
No, no, of course not.
She has a perspective that people appreciate.
Anything from the signature file?
Yes. So in the signature file, we have a letter from Department of Revenue Administration, and it's in regards to the PA28 form, which the town of Plymouth has never participated in the PA28 form, and it's an annual letter that comes from Department of Revenue Administration. It's been checked off that we will not be using the PA28 form in 2024, which is the same as what we've done for the last 6 years. And that's a form that just requires a lot of information that comes from each resident in the town of Plymouth. And Plymouth has always chosen not to participate in that form.
Is there any drawback or penalty or any,
I'm sorry, what's that?
is there any drawback or penalty?
There is
or-
not.
Oh, okay.
So why does anybody participate in this?
Right.
There's 3 towns in the state of New Hampshire that participate. 3. Because it's such a burden on the community to be able to retrieve that information and get the forms completed.
Interesting.
So whose signature? Just us? Or assessing
Want all our
official?
signatures?
All of your signatures, I believe, have to go on.
Right, name of contact. Oh, they only have 3 because,
No, it just says assessing official. so
yeah, we're
it's-
the assessing
we're the
official.
assessing.
Who do you want to be the contact person?
Carol should
Carol?
be, yeah, Carol should be the contact person.
Carol. So I'll put Carol. Actually, I'll leave it blank. You can put Carol here. You want to vote on this one?
I vote we don't check the, or we don't participate.
Make a motion that we don't check the box.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Don't check the box.
Don't check that. We do check the will not box. What's today's date?
10th?
And the next thing I have in the signature file is a elderly exemption
All right.
file, and it's a denial for elderly exemption for Beverly Potter, lives at 45 Carpenter Park Road. And the reason for the denial is applicant is denied for 2023 due to asset limitation. And that was completed, and the associated paperwork is attached, which does make the applicant not eligible for the tax exemption.
What's an asset limitation? So if someone has
It's
too much?
Yeah,
Correct.
I found that I couldn't make it either. So I never applied.
Well, that one gets handed around. Do you have another one?
That's all I have.
That's it. All right.
Sure.
So with that, we can move to committee reports. Plymouth Village Water and Sewer.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And Planning Board.
Yeah.
Neil.
Where are
Committee reports, I think
Oh,
you're up.
I just wanted to ask you about emergency management activities today.
Today, actually, I was out checking the roads early this morning. We've had
It's weird.
no
There's 2 there.
washouts or disruption to
Things
any
in
of our
good shape?
roads. Things are in good shape. The highway department was out last week cleaning catch basins, which I think helped a lot, and they did some ditching on some of our troubled roads that we saw issues in December of '22. I can tell you, as of 4:30 this afternoon, the river is due to crest at 15.9 feet at noontime tomorrow.
So that's in the
That'd be
minor.
a 2-year flood, or?
No, it's in low action area, so it's
Yeah.
in the middle of the moderate flooding. But we've, knock on wood, we've been lucky.
That's good.
Honestly, it's, I think, a testament to the highway department in a lot of ways. They've been doing good work, and
It does, and
Get ahead
I
of it.
don't know if you've noticed in the last couple newsletters, you always get a report from the police department and the fire department on a weekly basis. That will be coming from the highway department as well, talking about what their administrative tasks have been, what the crews have been doing out on the road. And I've pulled information from the highway department over the last 2 weeks, and Dan has included it in the newsletter to let folks know what the public works department is doing.
Yeah.
And they have been out working diligently to make sure our roads don't get washed out and making sure the catch basins are open.
good.
Broadway got a new sidewalk too.
Yeah, I saw the equipment over there.
Looks great. Did a good job.
Just in time for you to sell your house.
I knew that helped push it over the edge.
Neil, do you have a committee report on planning board?
Well, let's see, I attended a planning board meeting on the 15th, and I don't think I've given that report yet.
No, you have not.
And we had a meeting scheduled for the 20th, but it was postponed.
July 20th,
Yeah.
that meeting's taking
Oh,
place.
June, it's July 20th, I meant June 20th. I made a mistake there. We had a meeting scheduled for June 29th, and we
Canceled.
canceled that one. So, on the 15th, we discussed the Frontenac development progress, and that's continued till July 20th. That's a difficult situation, because there were, I think it's been 25 years and 3 phases, and there's 40 some odd lots involved, and different owners. And there was an approval for a conditional use permit for an accessory dwelling unit at number 17 Pleasant Street. That is near the corner of Pleasant Street and Langdon Street. It's the second house down on the right. And that house had been a student off-campus housing, and now it's a family. And the guy who bought the house has a business, he has a little truck, and he needs a place to put it. And then approval for 24 Martin Estates accessory dwelling unit. That's off from I think it's Bridgewater Mountain Road?
Dick Brown Pond Road.
Dick Brown Pond Road. Bridgewater Mountain Road cuts off of Dick Brown Pond Road. Then there was an approval on Page Street boundary line adjustment for BICO. That's the company belongs to
Dale and Harry Blackie.
the Blackie brothers. And their plan is going to be continued on July 20th. They're hoping to put in storage units at the end of Page Street. And Amy Hage and Anthony Deli, they got all the names here, all the people in the neighborhood. There's a boundary line adjustment. That's at the end of Loon Lake Road, and that was approved. The last 2 lots on Loon Lake Road. And then Michael and Martha Clifford had a subdivision approved. And then there was an application for a site plan review accepted by the last chair. They're going to have an expansion. And then the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer had questions regarding the brewery at the last chair. And but they're not in the district. The sewer lines run down Yetton Road, and the last chair is on the other side of the traffic circle. And so there were questions regarding their stormwater plan and pre-treatment of the effluent from their brewery and other lighting and landscaping. So they'll be back. Their plan was accepted but not approved at this time. So the next meeting will be on July 20th.
I'm very happy for their success, but it's unfortunate that I have a conference, room or whatever, and, all sorts of attractants for more people. And then the only way they can exit is that, one outlet that was kind of poorly placed, but it couldn't put it anywhere else. But I'm just kind of concerned about that.
Is that regarding the FICO application?
No.
Last chair?
Chair, yeah,
The last chair?
yeah. But,
I don't think they have any problems with their stormwater plan, and
No, probably
I
not.
think that they're gonna address all the other issues.
Yeah.
But they don't have enough room for what they're doing.
I know. Maybe they can buy the National Guard property.
They should have two ingress and egress points. That would be safer.
Yeah.
Even the parking, they don't have a lot of parking there.
Well, they got some big boulders over there. They got rocks galore.
So just a question, I know the housing survey is part of planning. It could be Scott question or you question. You talked about meeting with Tenny Mountain and talking about workforce housing. Was that included in the
The ski
housing
area?
survey? Yes, just curious.
It is.
Okay.
The first reports for the group that's doing the consultant that's working on it, first reports came out this past week. Those are going to be discussed tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at the Housing Opportunity Project meeting, and then will be brought to the full planning board, the first meeting in August. But it really is a nice synopsis of both the two public meetings that they had, as well as the 541 individuals that took the online survey. So there's a lot of important information that's included in those. I think it comes back to the HOP committee, the planning board, and then to the select board on what needs to be included, if any changes need to go forward, or at least looking at the documents of what people's concerns were. And I think that will come back to you after the report is finalized.
But that Tenny Mountain conversation regarding
Workforce housing is in there.
Great, thank you.
I think we'll have a much better picture of what we're facing.
Mhm.
And this is progress.
There's a lot of really good information. I just scanned it today with Joseph. I meet with Joseph bi-weekly with regards to what he's working on. And we went through the report today, and a lot of information with regards to single-family homes, condos, townhouses, of things that people want to see, that were comments that were made in the survey. So I think there's more to come on that, but I thought the report was well put together.
Thank you.
Good. Anything else about planning board? Campus Community Council?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Do we have a meeting scheduled?
Not yet.
Plymouth School District?
They're on hiatus until August.
When is their retreat? Did that happen or is happening?
I don't recall. We reported on it last time, but I don't
Yeah, I
have
know, we
those
talked
notes with me.
briefly. Conservation Commission.
Conservation Commission did meet on the 20th. It's been a long time, so I had to kind of browse over these since then. They talked a little bit about their presentation at the high school that the students did on their work for the What the heck is the thing called? They want to use a lot of that information for their NRI, that's what it is. So the students did a lot of work on mapping with ArcGIS, and they're going to use that to kind of seed their NRI. And basically, they're talking about how well that went. I did go to that presentation for the first half an hour or so. I had something else scheduled, and yeah, they seem to do a good job. Let's see, what else did they talk about? They had an inquiry about someone interested in becoming a trail maintainer in the town of Plymouth.
Is that a position, a paid position?
No,
Okay.
no, it's part of the group. Part of the group. They have a team that does it. They talked a little bit about DES proposed rule changes, and I'm doing a little bit of this from memory. Basically, the new form cuts them out of the loop in terms of being informed when wetlands approval comes out. And so one of the things that they want to do is, even though it's not on the form anymore, they would love it if the town lets them know, so they can at least look. Now they need apparently to get landowner consent specifically for the committee to go and look. They can't just assume they can go look. They have to actually get landowner consent. So that may make it a little more challenging to get them the ability to look at these spots. Most people, they don't anticipate will have a problem with it, but there may be specific instances where they will not be able to get access. So that'll make it very difficult for them to render any opinions on whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. Let's see. So on the Trails Report, they had a work party on the 20th of May. They rebuilt some boardwalk on the Ruth Walter Trail. Basically, people are having difficulty because of the amount of rain. It's more muddy than it has been. They did task everyone to look at the 3 NRIs. They basically have 3 templates from other towns that they want everybody to look at and render their opinion on which one that we should approximately follow. Previously, there had been discussion about putting our NRI online using ArcGIS, because then it becomes more of a living document that people can then go in and click on and drill in and get more detailed information about the specific areas that they're in. And that pretty much covers, I think, the high points of the meeting.
Any questions for Ted about conservation?
There should be another meeting coming up. Is it tomorrow? No, I'll have to look at my calendar. There's one coming up soon. I saw it, it's the 3rd Tuesday of the month, so it's not tomorrow. It's next week.
Zoning board, isn't it?
So it's next week.
Capital improvement still hasn't met. I think we're scheduled for early fall or something.
That's correct. First part of October.
Yeah. LRPC.
Went to their annual meeting.
How did it go?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a gentleman from Revision talk about solar in New Hampshire. And I hung out with Chris, John.
Yeah.
And not spectacular. And it was at the church, Church Landing in Meredith. All's well.
How was dinner?
It was okay. I had the steak tips, sliced tomatoes, little fingerlings.
Nice.
Isn't there a big issue about the town docks in Meredith?
What?
I was reading in the paper that town didn't want to repair the docks and who was gonna
At the
repair-
town docks?
Yeah, the town docks.
Alex's place?
Well, I don't know if Alex owns the town docks, I think.
He's got
he's got a
a
restaurant,
restaurant,
but
but there's an actual set of
No,
docks there.
I'm
Yeah,
not
it-
talking about restaurant, I'm talking about the docks.
No, I know that, yeah.
That's pretty important, those docks, you know, a lot of business comes through
Yeah,
there.
for town docks.
Yeah.
Huh. Or probably all the docks that are in that little turnaround?
Yeah.
Yeah, not Alex's.
This one of
docks.
them will take the Sophie C or something. I don't think the mount, maybe the mount can get in there, I'm not sure.
I hadn't heard.
Controversy in Meredith.
Yeah.
That takes us to Parks and Rec.
They are still trying to align a date that everybody can agree on. That's fresh off the presses. I asked Lisa while we're sitting here.
All right, sounds good. Parking,
Nothing?
nothing from parking. Energy Commission.
I think I missed the last meeting. In fact, I'm quite sure of that. I just didn't have it in my calendar.
It must not be all that active because Grace isn't here. You know,
Yeah,
usually
that's
She
true.
fills in
things are,
regardless, yeah.
when things are busy, she's
What's
here.
the status of the charging stations fell through? Are we gonna get any charging stations?
Okay, this is
CSU?
news to me.
Well,
Which-
down there at
One's
the
a
town
green-
parking lot by Samaha's.
No, that kind of,
That one
It
fell through.
died.
fell
yeah,
through.
we didn't want to give up the spaces.
Oh, so will there be charging stations anywhere?
So I still haven't checked into, the universities, had 2 applications in. And I haven't heard back from either failed or whatever, because it was a Shaheen add-on. And, she was awarding it to use, projects that, I mean, I think the project that they submitted was like really, really well done. So, in any event,
It's just a matter of concern for some people.
yep, well, that included charging stations at, not MBSP, what's the bank,
Former bank.
yeah. But, we'll see. And I think I talked about this last time for the fact that, it's both charging stations and also it push-pulls, you can, put it back onto, sell it back to the electric cooperative. I'm starting to babble, I haven't had dinner yet.
I'll keep you babbling. What's the status on the solar array project?
Solar array is all set. All the paperwork
All the
has been
paperwork's done.
submitted, all the documents have been signed, and they're scheduled to do the interconnectivity survey
Okay.
in the next week or so.
Okay, great.
So we are all good to go. We've provided them
Moving
with a
along.
certificate of insurance from Primex, both to Barrington Power and the CDFA. So
Great.
it's moving forward.
There's no ledge out there either.
And even if there was,
Let's hope.
we could put the solar panels right on top of the ledge. It would be fine.
And speaking of solar array, though, that was gonna make up the remaining 25%, there's no ledge on top of the landfill either, and that's where they intend to put it. And I'm not certain what the status of that is, but they were gonna
Which one? Where?
put grants in to, put a solar array on top of the landfill.
They're coming in on July 24th to talk about that
Okay.
as a follow-up.
Yep.
All right. Advisory Budget Committee, we also haven't met. Have you heard anything about when that group's meeting next?
The
Advisory Budget Committee?
Yes, we are going to meet before we go to the Capital Improvement Committee. So it's probably going to be in September.
Okay, so nothing between now and September.
Because what we'll do is I'll meet with the department heads on July 26th. They'll have from July 26th to October 2nd to complete their budgets. And we will meet prior to their budgets being completed to provide them access to the Google Docs that they'll need.
So the Capital Improvement Planning Subcommittee's not going to meet to review that capital plan prior to the department setting their budget?
Departments will submit all of their requests, and then the Capital Improvement Committee will meet based on the requests that have been submitted.
Okay, to compare that against the plan in place and
Correct.
see where it needs to be?
Yep.
Okay. That takes us to economic development. We got the update about the cluster project, which is nothing really yet. We can cross out PSU negotiations team members from this list. Chamber of Commerce.
Missed last meeting, I was on vacation.
That's okay. PERLAC.
We had a meeting. I know Neil took good notes, but I just want to at least discuss, regarding like your needing the permission of landowners to do, well, I guess, what's that?
Wetlands inspection.
Yeah, site thing on wetlands. Well, I mean, we have to as well. I think that was pretty common for, I don't know how many years, but I don't think it's a new thing. Because when we investigate a property that is having a DES application for any project, we have to seek their approval first. Otherwise, it's trespassing. So yeah, we both seek the permission of the owner and the project lead. That's on project. We have like a real wealth of, I guess, things to consider with the advent or the White Mountain Golf Club, Owl's Nest, the expansion, their intent to put in, a vineyard, a couple buildings, and take part of the, I guess, the old airport. There's a lot of projects going on without any kind of inclusion of, PERLAC, they gave us a heads up, but there's no application in the DES yet. And there's a lot of wetlands area and,
The river.
and the river as well. In fact, that's the reason why we got involved. They don't seem to, at least their engineers don't seem to very aware of what they should be doing as far as alerting.
They weren't doing site-specific surveying.
That's correct. They also were doing it by drone. And, so you can't really derive too much by taking a picture, from above. So, the plans that they submitted were kind of ridiculous, but.
They're asking for an alteration of terrain permit and a dredge and fill permit.
Yep. Without getting any kind of heads up from DES, so.
So how does that work as far as holding them accountable?
That's a good question. I mean, it's not like money talks, type thing, but they are very successful in funding all their projects, and, they don't have too many people involved in the funding, so, there's generally I guess one or two people that kind of say, "Oh, just do this," and they do it. And, I think for like Thornton and Campton, the projects that they put up there are both phenomenal for their own coffers, but also they help out the community by dumping so much money in there. But they create their own problems as well, like sewage and water. And but for Ashland, I think the select board and the planning board are putting the brakes on. But,
Ashland has issues with them,
yeah,
and I think their attorneys are gonna be working with it.
right. Yep. Want to fill in the rest, Neil?
Oh, there's a new history book out, The Pemigewasset Valley by Daniel Hayduck. So that's something we should all read, I guess. We have to review applications from Franklin and Thornton and another one in Thornton and River Road in New Hampton, and mainly this White Mountain Country Club, which is pretty ambitious proposition.
Yeah.
And they're in the wetlands along the river. They want to dig ponds where there are vernal pools, things like that. They seem to get what they want. At least they have in Thornton to some extent. They've built a whole town up there so far. And they're really going.
But they're only 28% built out, too.
Well,
So they're
it's
gonna-
gonna be a city when they're
Yeah.
done. There'd be more houses in that development than there are in the whole town of Thornton.
Oh, yeah, true. At least it solves their housing.
But maybe they'll have their own town.
Breakaway.
Yeah. Didn't you say anything about VRAP testing?
No, I didn't, but I could. So we're doing VRES, the
I
volunteer.
wasn't able to be there, I wanted to, but.
We have, well, theoretically, or ultimately, we're gonna have like 3 groups of people that go out and sample water. The PEMI, there's like a South PEMI, we're the north currently, and then there's gonna be a northern, like, to include, you know, Woodstock and Lincoln. And we're just trying to, you know, get them interested in to come down because they've never done it before. And we just brought them on about 6 months ago. So, you know, it's a rather important task. We do 4 sites. South PEMI does 6, I believe.
Where
And
is South Pemmy?
South PEMI is from, well, theoretically from, well, it's basically New Hampton and Bristol.
Okay.
It could go
All the way
down
to
to,
Franklin.
could go down to Franklin, but the areas that we test are pretty much only in New Hampton and Bristol. And we do, we start out at the Senzo Bridge, we go up to Campton, well, the Blair Bridge, and then up to Thornton at the Memorial Bridge, and then back on the Mad River, going, you know, over to Waterville Valley.
Robertson Bridge.
Is that Robinson Bridge?
Robertson Bridge on 49.
Oh, okay, and I guess I never knew that name. I just know the site name, but,
Chickenboro. It's called Chickenboro.
okay. I'll have to denote that next time I go out. And what's the other thing too? But, oh, and I'm trying to recruit, every town can recruit 3 members and appointed by the select board. Plymouth has 3. Holderness has 1, and I've been trying to like recruit 2 more members from Holderness. And I'm trying to hit the people you'd suspect, like, was not Willie, who's the guy that's was head of, and skip it. There's about 5 names I've been like, you know, trying to work on. I just can't get a positive response. In fact, one positive response was the person just had a stroke, and you know, he may be coming back, but he'll let me know in a month. And I'm thinking, that's the worst thing to do, to try to get out of a meeting, you know? But, so, anyway, it would be kind of nice to have a full contingent. And it's a very active committee now, so. Good
Good.
stuff, yeah.
Any other questions around PERLAC?
Oh, yeah, Dave Jeffers, from our advisor from LRPC, has made a lot of progress on getting the river management plan updated. And that's really the framework that we have to work within.
Is that it, Neil?
Yeah.
Any other questions for Neil? All right, police and fire building assessment, we haven't met.
We haven't met, but they'll be coming in on the 24th with the reports from the Turner Group on the police department and the fire department surveys that were completed.
Oh, good.
So they'll be in front of the board on July 24th.
At our next meeting. All right, that takes us to public comments.
Well, I think it's a very good meeting, and the citizens of Plymouth are very well served by your professional efforts. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Well, thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
It's great having you here, just to hear that.
One thing I wanted to bring up.
It's good to have you
Yeah.
here.
So just food for
Other
thought.
business.
Sorry, other business. So with so much on Scott's plate, I'm assuming we used to have an assistant town manager. Is that something that's,
Well, yeah, I
Is there
think so.
such a-
Yeah, we
There
did.
was such a thing, yeah.
Kathy?
We have.
So I don't know if it's,
You need help?
I don't know how many hours you were working.
Good, I'm fine.
He is
just,
unbelievable.
And, I mean, you meet twice a day with Bernice. How could you do anything else?
He has control.
I am good,
Well organized
All
is what
right,
he said.
Yeah.
I'm just
I'm good.
throwing that out there.
but thank you.
All right.
Any other business?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Great meeting.